Very cool for the summer. I still gotta lose like 20 pounds to be cool for the summer. But yeah, anyways, today's video is going to be about the handstand push-up and the overhead press. Do you really need to be able to overhead press your own body weight in order to do a handstand push-up? Now, I think this question is quite interesting, so I decided to run a little experiment. And for those that don't know me yet, well, my name is William and I've been practicing calisthenics for 3 years. And I'm able to do the handstand push-up. Although I wouldn't say I've mastered it, I can do a handstand push-up pretty much whenever I want, so it's nothing new to me. It's actually pretty easy. And I'm also a firm believer that going to the gym, lifting weights, doing essentially bodybuilding can help you a lot in your calisthenics journey, because it has helped me a lot. And I feel like the debate, the narrative nowadays in the calisthenics community is all focused on doing this really specific sort of work to unlock really specific skills. And it's all about technique and stuff like that. And they kind of overlook the most important thing, which is relative strength. That's the 80-20 of calisthenics. It's relative strength. If you're not strong enough, you're not going to lift your body. Just forget about it, right? And additionally, from my perspective, calisthenics has two main issues in comparison to just going to the gym and lifting weights. The first one being that the mechanical tension to fatigue ratio isn't that great. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that it's not optimal for hypertrophy. Otherwise, like, people that participate in bodybuilding competitions, they would just do calisthenics. Do you know what I mean? I feel like for sure when you practice calisthenics, you're gonna get sore, you're gonna get tired, but that's not a great indicator of mechanical tension. Do you know what I mean? That's just inflammation and metabolic changes. If anything, that's a great indicator of essentially fatigue. And the second thing is that calisthenics as a sport, how can I put this? It's not very easy to track progressive overload. I'm not saying that it's hard to do progressive overload in calisthenics, as some people say. I'm saying that it's hard to track because you will essentially have to pay attention to angles of inclination, gravitational torque. If you use bands and additional weights, it's going to be even harder to calculate all these progressions. So it's just incredibly difficult to keep up with all this information. That's why I started focusing on the overhead press, which, by the way, is a godsend bodybuilding exercise for calisthenics. I've been doing this exercise for the past couple of months and I really like it because, first of all, it trains the same muscles that are required in the handstand push-up, and secondly, it has the same biomechanical motion of the handstand push-up. At least it's the most similar. Do you know what I mean? No other exercise is going to be as similar to the handstand push-up as the overhead press. And what I found was that by getting really good, by getting really strong at the overhead press, I naturally improved a lot at holding a handstand and doing handstand push-ups. So I went from holding a handstand for like 5 seconds to 20 seconds. And from not being able to do a single handstand push-up to now being able to do a full range of motion handstand push-up. And this brings us back to the question, if the overhead press is such a good benchmark for handstand push-up progress, how much do you need to be able to lift? Do you need to be able to overhead press your body weight to do a handstand push-up? So yesterday I went to the gym and tested it, and by the way, right now I'm weighing 72 kg. So first I started this session immediately with a handstand push-up, and no surprise, I was able to do it. Then I tested my overhead press. First rep, 30 kg, easy, no problems at all. Second rep, 50 kg, also easy. Not as easy as the first one, but still somewhat manageable. Then the third rep was 70 kg. Honestly, it was much harder, but I was still able to do it. I just had to grind a little bit more, do you know what I mean? Now for my fourth rep, I did 75 kg and it was very, very hard, extremely demanding, but that was already heavier than my own body weight. And for my last rep, I did 80 kg, but I failed miserably. And by the way, my PR for the overhead press was 83 kg, so failing 80 kg was just somewhat embarrassing. I feel like it's worth mentioning that when I hit the 83 kg PR, I was weighing 85.5 kg, so I was like 14 kg heavier. that was crazy. Plus I was also on creatine and ashwagandha, which I'm not anymore. Now, objectively speaking, my absolute strength, my absolute force output has decreased with my caloric deficit, but my relative strength, and that's the key, like that's the most important thing when it comes to calisthenics, has increased dramatically. So now, even though I'm not as strong, I'm a much better calisthenics athlete than I was before. Now, of course, with such a small limited sample size, it's hard to draw any scientific firm conclusions, but based on my experiment, I think you should aim to be able to at least overhead press your own body weight. Like, that's the minimum you should aim for, and increasing that number is always going to be better. Most of the times your limiting factor is going to be your relative strength, not your technique. But yeah, anyway, I hope this video was interesting. Subscribe for more unscientific, scientific calisthenics experiments, and I'll see you on the next one.